Hey guys, welcome to this video. My name is Jim Elli, and I'm the founder and owner of ZAO Strength. I've been coaching powerlifting now for the last 7 years of my life, and I wanted to do a meet recap for you from the last competition. However, upon a few attempts at doing a meet recap, I realized that there's a lot to talk about because for me, this meet wasn't just about the competition, but it was the accumulation of the last 6 to 7 years of my life, kind of pivoting on this one moment. I mean, it wasn't like if I didn't do well at the competition, then 6 years of my life were a waste. But the 6 years of my life where I dedicated everything I could to becoming the best powerlifting coach that I could taught me so many things and introduced me to so many people that I felt so many emotions yesterday. When I last competed, I was 19 years old. I was young. I was not as intelligent, or at least my experience definitely wasn't as improved as it is now. The lessons that I've learned from mentors like Mike Tushir and the coaches at RTS during my time coaching with reactive training systems, I learned so much more about not only myself as a person, but also myself as a coach. And I learned how to coach. And I learned that I didn't need to be an incredible athlete to be an incredible coach. That was definitely a misconception that I had when I started coaching. I thought that I needed to make sure that working with the best lifters, I have to be the strongest that I can be, or no one will respect me as a coach. Because ultimately, the thing that makes me the happiest is teaching people how to make the most out of their training, make the most out of their circumstances, and help them to believe that they're capable of achieving more than they otherwise could. And I developed arguably a very good skill of accomplishing that. I can help a lot of people discover what they're capable of with given circumstances and according to their goals. And that's why I built ZAO Strength. It's why I hired the 4 coaches that I did: Tyson, Seba, Verena, and Safe. They all share a very valuable vision for that aspect of coaching. It's not about us, it's about you. And so this competition recap, it's like this day where I could show off to myself that all these things that I've learned and I've been preaching, I've been sharing with you and with the clients that I've worked with. I've worked with over 100 clients, powerlifters in particular, in the last 6 years. So I've worked with people around the world. I traveled and did seminars to teach people how to get stronger, how to compete, how to perform. I've helped people prepare for worlds and for nationals and all the international competitions that accompany that journey for their individual progress. And I've also helped people who have no aspirations to be international competitors and just want to get stronger in their home gyms. I never knew exactly how I would integrate myself back as an athlete after taking a break or a hiatus when I was 19 years old. And a lot of that was due to the fact that I got injured a lot. I was dealing with a lot of chronic hip pain. And something that I haven't talked about publicly explicitly is that when I was 19 years old, I was supplementing with TRT, or a low dose of testosterone. Higher doses is probably than like a 50-year-old man would use, but I was definitely utilizing testosterone as part of my life. And I want to make it very clear that when I implemented testosterone into my life, it was nothing to do with powerlifting. I was really trying to identify myself more with, or justify my passion for powerlifting, or not even powerlifting, but the fitness industry in general. When I was 16 years old, lifting was something that I could go and do, and I could get away from everything and everyone and my family. And there's a lot going on at the time. Luckily, a lot of the things that led me down that direction were fixed. So there's a lot of interpersonal work and a lot of relationship work that had to go on there, but it didn't really have a lot to do with like powerlifting or bodybuilding or something. I just knew that getting strong and lifting weights is something I enjoyed. And at the time I thought, testosterone, hey, cool, this thing, like in Columbus, Ohio, there wasn't a lot of natural powerlifting going on, or at least my small brain version of myself didn't think that anyone was natural, and that no one in the Olympics is natural, and nobody in sports are natural. Everyone that has ever done anything is enhanced in some way. I don't believe that anymore because I've worked with so many people in my course of my coaching career from the time I was 19 to now that it didn't make sense. I worked with people who busted their asses, who were sacrificing everything, who just stuck to as many routines as they could for the sacrifice of powerlifting to become the strongest person that they could be in their respective careers. So everything about training for myself at that time is different than it is now. When you start implementing and supplementing with anabolics and peptides and things like that, when training isn't going well, the solution isn't let's train less. The solution is usually and very often which combination of variables should we play around with that have usually little to do with programming. I wouldn't say never, but the first option is like, hey, I strained my pec. Maybe I should take a peptide that can help improve recovery and I can still train. I don't have to think about, modifying the training variables in the way that I do now and the way that I have been doing with my lifters for a long time. So when I was 20, like I think the end right before I turned 21, I decided like I wanted to do a lot more with my life. I wanted to make powerlifting a sustainable aspect of my life. And I want to eventually compete again without having any supplementation because it messed with me mentally. It messed with how I approached training for myself. And I was in a lot of pain. I wasn't getting the benefits from testosterone that I thought I was going to. When I planned out my life journey when I was 18, I thought, hey, testosterone will be nice because I'll be more masculine. I'll have more respect in my community. I'll be stronger potentially if I ended up going into powerlifting. I didn't know that was what I was going to do when I decided that was the path I wanted to go down. But eventually I did find myself into powerlifting. And, it was definitely an aspect of my life that changed everything. Taking that into context, taking the fact that I let go of the lifting world entirely, the athletic world entirely, so I could kind of recover, come off of the testosterone, redevelop a relationship with training, reduce my training intensities, go against a lot of what I thought I knew with training variables for myself. To reintroduce becoming an athlete meant that I had to face some fears and realize that the strength gain was going to be and needed to be more sustainable. And that's one of the pillars of my coaching philosophy now is sustainable strength. How do I relate to my lifters? How do I relate to powerlifting? And I finally found a way to train that didn't cause me to be beat up, to have multiple pec strains, multiple adductor strains, hip pain, etc. And again, powerlifting became less about me and more about my lifters. It's been 6 years since I last competed, and it's been 4.5 years since I had any anabolics in my system. So training naturally without that as a crutch for the most part, for many people, it can be a crutch. It really changed how I approached the powerlifting world. And this meet in particular was, again, the accumulation of all of those experiences, like the vulnerability, being able to go on the platform and put myself in that position where I could be wrong. Maybe I have no idea how to peak for powerlifting. Maybe I have no idea how to prepare myself for this sport. And I've been talking about it with my lifters for so long. What if I'm wrong? What if I'm wrong about everything? Being able to compete with, the majority of Minnesotans being vaccinated finally, I felt very comfortable and I felt very emotional and I felt really good and scared. Let's get right into the meet recap though, because that's a lot to share. There's more that I need to go in depth on. So I'm encouraging questions on any and all of this if you're interested in it. But that's kind of my 7-year summary. Getting into the meet. Leading up to this meet, I was very nervous that my decision to perform singles for my top sets was going to be a bad idea. The moment I started doing singles, instead of doubles or triples, which is it doesn't seem like a significant difference, but for me it was 92% compared to 86% or 83% for your top set is a different systemic or central stress, as they call it. And for me, it increases soreness in my bones and my hips and my knees. Leading up to the meet, my knees were bothering me. They were really bothering me. And hitting depth and squatting with heavy loads, the eccentric aspect of my squat was just not feeling good. So I took some Advil before the meet and was just kind of crossing my fingers that my knees would be good enough so the rest of my muscles could work properly. Luckily for me, They did. And I mean, eventually I stopped forgetting about, I forgot about the pain entirely and realized like, holy crap, you're going to be squatting in front of all these people. You're going to be squatting in front of people on your live stream. Like just show up and show people that, you know, you're here and you've been practicing this, whether it be literally or visually or watching your lifters do this for the majority of your career. And you're here to show them how it's done. I mean, not really, but I just wanted to show off what I've been working on for my early 20s. I squatted an all-time PR of 210 kilos. One of my goals for this meet was to beat my all-time best total from when I was 19 and trained and competed in the USPA Nationals with a deadlift bar and knee wraps. I wanted to beat my best squat, my best bench, and my best deadlift. And I almost did all those things. So I think I squatted 210 at this competition raw, and then at that competition 6 years ago, it was 212. So I didn't like beat it technically, but given that I didn't have knee wraps, I was very happy. I've never had that much weight on my back raw, and I haven't had that on my back since kind of redeveloping as a powerlifter. And it was incredible. It was the slowest grind of my life. You'll see it here in the video in a second. Slowest grind of my life. It was awesome though. It was smooth. It was good calls. I had Khalil Muallim taking a look at my lifts right like on the live stream. We had my secondary job during this competition was to be managing the live stream, at least from a video standpoint, just making sure it worked because I wanted everyone to be able to see it. And I thrive on the support of the community. I thrive off of the support of my lifters. That was awesome. And he was like, you know what? I didn't see your second attempt because the camera went out, but put 210 on the bar. I think you'll be okay. And I'm like, you're right. Let's send it. And I did. And it was like perfect attempt. And it just felt so good. Bench press also was going great. I had like no issues with bench press, but I had no idea what I was capable of for the day. Leaning into it, my opener was like RP6. It was so easy. Then I went up to 145 for my second. Again, super easy. And I was talking to one of the coaches there, Jeff Thompson of Integrated Strength, and he said, if you go anything less than 7.5 kilos more on your third, I'm going to slap you or something. I don't know. And so I said, fuck it. Let's go up an extra 10, which is a 5 kilo increase from my initial plan. I was supposed to go to 150, but I was feeling good. Went 155 and it flew as well. I felt like I had 160 on the bar, which was the best ever bench I've ever had in my life. All time PR, never held it in my hands. Raw. I have done it on slingshot bench a few times, but never, not even with a board press. I don't think I've ever done that, which is so cool. Then the deadlifts came. And at this time, I was so amped up on caffeine and adrenaline and anxiety. And like, this is when the feels came. They hit me hard. I realized like everything that I had experienced. It felt like I was on like a mushroom trip with how many emotions I was feeling. I felt like I was having conversations with like all my athletes that I've ever talked to and realized that like I've had, you know, I'm coaching myself and I've been coaching myself for the last year. And I had to like realize that I'm coaching myself. But then through that, I was thinking about the conversations that I've had with my other lifters and what I would say to them and how I remember Ben Wharton when I was coaching him at Euros in 2019 before the pandemic, and Corentin, by the way, like how amped he was and that feeling where he just like couldn't contain himself and he was just zoned in, ready to go. And I was trying to embody him. I mean, I wasn't trying to, it was happening. It was happening to me. I didn't have any control over it. I was just kind of screaming, you know, just like hype for every single set because on Tuesday, the week before, I had failed. I couldn't even pull 230 off the ground. I don't know what happened, but it just wasn't working. I felt like I didn't know how to deadlift anymore. So deadlift was the lift I was the most concerned with because I had no idea what was going to happen. And I literally failed 230. So I dropped my opener from 230 to 225 because I knew it was something technical. I knew I was going to be able to do it on meet day. So I opened at 225, RPE 6 again. Like opener was too easy. So then I go up to 240, which was the plan. My goal was 250. I go 240. It's easy. It's like RP 7.5, right? I'm like, okay, I don't want to leave anything on the table here. And then Khalil again texted me. He had seen the video on the stream and said, go 260. And I said, okay, send it. You know, it's game time. Let's go 9 for 9. Like I'm ready. There's no way I'm going to miss 260. But at the same time, there's always like a subtle possibility in your head, like you're about to show up. So are you going to show out or are you going to miss? So 260's on the bar and I'm just flooded with emotions. they call my name. I come out there. I'm ready to go. I'm like, this is gonna happen. I get my grip on the bar. I have a massive amount of I create a massive amount of tension between me and the bar, and I'm ready to pull it. And as I initiate my hips and my quads, I felt a pop in my adductor, and I didn't even have a chance to really pull. Like as I was initiating, transferring from my upper body tension to my lower body tension, that's when I felt that my right adductor popped, and I felt it. I saw it move. I think the people in the you might be able to hear it, but in the audience, people are like, "Oh," like they all saw that I got hurt. But time was kind of like, I had no idea how long it took me to do that, and then I didn't know if it had actually happened. So I stood up, and then I was like, "Wait, I should do it again. I can do it. Should I just do it?" And I asked them, like, "No, you can't do it. Like, time is up, you know." And also, we just saw your adductor popped. I didn't get 260, but 240 was an all-time meet PR. I think I hit 240 meet week prior to my last planned competition, which was 2020 in March. But the pandemic happened, that got canceled. Life changed massively. So I was still overwhelmed with emotion after that. Like, I knew I did a good job. I was happy with my performance. I was so ready to pull 260 though. 272 has been my goal since, late 2019. And 260 was kind of like that milestone to get me from 260 to 272. I want to pull 600 pounds. It's been a goal of mine for a long time. So 260 was going to feel really good. I wasn't disappointed, but it was like the most anticlimactic thing. I was freaking out in the back room. And so I just started crying like immensely, but it was almost like tears of joy, appreciation, sadness, happiness, almost like the last 6 years of my life just kind of were for this moment. And not to be able to like have that picture perfect finish was a little bit saddening. I just want to say thank you for everyone who supported me on the day. Again, this video isn't to like highlight the meet. Yes, the meet happened and it was awesome, but it's mostly that powerlifting is such an incredible opportunity for so many people. The barrier to entry is very low. It's a journey that it takes you on that challenges you to your core. You can desire all you want, but ultimately the biggest thing that's going to get in your way is an unknown variable. Usually the plan that you have for how you're going to get stronger isn't the plan that you follow because something happens or many things happen. And for most people, many things do happen. Maybe it's an injury. Maybe it's a job change. Maybe you decide that you don't want to, compete in untested federations anymore, and you don't want to be injured for the rest of your life. So you change how you approach training entirely. And maybe you want to be a coach. And so training for powerlifting isn't as important as coaching powerlifting, right? That's kind of something that I'm sharing here today. So this is a long video. I'm not going to make many cuts, if any. I'm just going to run through it. I appreciate you listening to it. There's a lot more to talk about. I just appreciate you so much for paying attention and for watching this. And I hope you enjoy the first competition back for me in the last 6 years. And I hope that if you're watching this, you're encouraged to compete, you're encouraged to start training and taking control of something in your life, because sometimes there's a lot of unknowns. And taking control of your strength is pretty cool. I really like it, and I love coaching it. So thanks for listening. Here is the meet.